In India lies a village that was once thriving, but one night it just mysteriously vanished. In fact, it didn't just vanish, but everyone just completely disappeared without a trace in one single night.
That'd be cool. So this is the room.
But how on earth does that happen? That's the question I wanted an answer for, and here's all that I found.
Walks a dog in the middle of a forest at night.
So let's dive right into it. Number 25, the mystery of Kulhara. With its crumbling stone houses and desolate streets, Kulhara is one of the most mysterious and terrifying places in the world. But it wasn't always like that. About a couple of hundred years back, Kulhara was a prosperous community inhabited by the Paliwal Brahmin. This community was known for its exceptional stonework and water management technique, and that's one of the reasons why everything was so well planned in Kulhara. They had stunning houses made of sandstone, along with an intricate system of wells that helped villagers survive the harsh desert climate. It wouldn't be wrong to say that this village was way ahead of its time. Fast forward to the 19th century, and we have one of the most mysterious disappearances in human history. Kulhara disappeared overnight. You heard that right? It didn't happen in weeks or months. It happened in just one night. Everything was gone. There was no trace of residents as everything from their belongings to the bodies of their dead vanished overnight. But how in the world could an entire village just disappear in one night? Was it a murderous raid, some sort of an exodus, or something much more sinister? Let's jump into some of the most plausible theories about this disappearance. Starting off with one of the most believable ones, number 24. A one-sided affair. Locals think there wasn't anything eerie or supernatural about Kulhara's disappearance. It was actually because of a local ruler by the name of Salim Singh, the Diwan, or chief of Jaisalmer. Salim apparently fell in love with the daughter of a prominent Paliwal Brahmin, but since the community was super protective of their women, they straight up refused Salim's desperate attempts to marry her. And that's when the fierce Diwan promised to destroy the entire village. Fearing a barbaric end to their community, it was decided that Kulhara would be abandoned to prevent such a bloody atrocity. But hold up, is this just a story to throw us off track? I mean, let's not forget the fact that everything vanished that night. How did these villagers manage to move everything in just a single night? Did they have some sort of help? Or worse, did something come that night and wipe them out? This is an outlandish theory, of course, but many experts believe it's simply impossible for everything to be wiped clean in a night. Here's another theory about the mysterious disappearance. Number 23. Extraterrestrial involvement. It's believed that it was actually a mysterious force or even ET travelers who abducted or perhaps destroyed everything in the village. Like I said before, it sounds outlandish, but Rajasthan is notorious for strange sightings and legends. Many people have claimed to see strange figures, UFOs, and beings haunt the desert at night. Could it be true? Could the village of Kulhara have been abducted by something beyond our understanding? There's no way to tell for sure, because it's extremely difficult to explain their overnight disappearance. But the story doesn't just end there. Number 22. Forbidden rituals and practices. Since the Paliwal Brahmins were into forbidden rituals and practices, locals believe they placed a curse on the land before they left. Oh, and by the way, the disappearance could have had some spiritual significance as well. There are some accounts of an ancient prophecy of how the land of Rajasthan would ultimately witness an impending doom. Maybe it was the elders who made everyone leave the village. That is if they left though. Anyway, locals claim this to be true since Kulhara is uninhabited to this day. It's been hundreds of years, and the stories of unexplained occurrences, eerie sightings, and strange sounds are still super common. In fact, a lot of people have actually dared to spend a night in the village, and funnily enough, not a single one of them has succeeded. The majority of them always claim to have seen or sensed something eerie that forced them to leave the village. So, could it be true? Maybe the curse is the reason why the village has remained devoid of human habitation ever since. But of course, at the end of the day, these are just theories. And when you think about it, many natural causes may have led to Kulhara's disappearance. Like, for example, a drought. Let's not forget that water was scarce. And even though the community was known for its superior water management, the water sources just started to dwindle. They were faced with a tough choice to either suffer or abandon the village in the search for new land. The interesting thing about this theory is that it's actually the story of many villages in the Thar Desert region. So it might just be possible that it's also what happened to the Paliwal Brahmins of Kulhara. Also, if we're talking about basic theories, I think it's important to share how they could have just been the victims of a brutal raid in a region where everything was limited, conflicts were large, and since these people were everything but warriors, perhaps they were slaughtered. Whoever raided them that night made sure to leave no proof behind, looting all their belonging, wiping out their existence off the face of Earth. But despite all the theories, if one thing is for sure, Kuldara is one of the most mysterious places on the planet. So, yeah, regardless of what you believe, there is something very strange about this village, and it's possible there might have been something darker at play here. Anyway, let's talk about some other mysterious, abandoned, and potentially haunted places in the world. Number 21. The Catacombs of Paris, France. This isn't exactly a haunted village, castle, or house. It's actually a vast network of catacombs underneath the most romantic city in the world. But what happened underneath the city wasn't romantic at all. It's believed that the catacombs are home to the remains of over 6 million people. But don't be alarmed, that's what they were built for. The catacombs are a burial site, but the paranormal activity that goes on down there says otherwise.
Catacombs weren't built until around 1780, but our Roman friends built the first catacombs all the way back in the 1st century AD.
There are thousands of stories of visitors reporting feelings of being watched or touched. And don't even get me started about all the whispers in the dark corridors. But yeah, I don't think people understand just how messed up this is. The catacombs are literally an underground city built using the dead of Paris. Just imagine the sickening smell of death down there. And that's not me just speculating. A lot of visitors have actually reported a scent inside the catacombs that literally reminds them of death. And you're not allowed to go beyond a certain area either, since it's pretty much an endless maze made of bone. How long is it though? 200 miles of human remain. You have got to be kidding me. And the worst part is how these tunnels aren't even documented, so you pretty much have no idea where you're even going. Believe it or not, many people have actually ventured into the catacomb, only to get trapped and disorientated, and ultimately lose their lives. If you ask me, you'd have to be crazy to do something like that. Number 20. Oradour-sur-Glane, France. Want to experience an overwhelming sense of sorrow and unease? Or do you want to hear disembodied voices? Or maybe a cold hand brushing your shoulder? Book a visit to Oradour-sur-Glane, a village in southwestern France having undergone complete devastation back in 1944. Want to know what happened? Nazi soldiers massacred 642 residents in the most inhumane way ever and burned the entire village to the ground. And while the village has been preserved as a memorial, it's still one of the most ghostly villages in all of France. Number 19. Dracula's Castle, Romania. Don't let appearances fool you, folks. Even though this castle looks all mighty and majestic, it's literally the stuff of horrors. It's situated in the Carpathian Mountains of Romania and is connected to the infamous and notorious Vlad the Impaler, the literal inspiration behind Dracula. So, in a way, you're basically looking at Dracula's castle. But yeah, even though it's just a fictional character, the castle is associated with the brutal reign of Vlad. This guy was notorious for burning prisoners, impaling bodies, and literally drinking the blood of his enemies. You can't even quantify the atrocities he's committed against mankind inside this eerie castle. And if you were to ever visit this castle, you're going to have to soak in all of that horrid history. Believe it or not, despite its outward appearance, ghost hunters claim this is one of the spookiest places they've ever explored. Number 18. The Old Changi Hospital, Singapore. Built by the British military during World War II, the Old Changi Hospital in Singapore went from being a medical facility to a prison camp in no time. The hospital gained a reputation for being one of the most brutal camps in the world, torturing prisoners and captives in the most horrendous way ever. And what's strange is that a lot of locals have reported some mysterious police activity in the region. One witness claims they managed to talk to a police insider who shared how they were searching for a voice inside the facility. Excuse me? What? A voice. Another interesting bit is how you're not allowed to go alone inside the hospital. It has to be with a group, even if you happen to be the most daring ghost hunter on the planet. And that's basically because of the recent suicides inside the abandoned facility. Number 17. The Whaley House, USA. The Whaley House might not be the most haunted house in the States, but trust me, it's easily there in the top 5. This place is the perfect storyline for a horror movie made in hell. It was built back in 1857 in San Diego, California.
Still move all your limbs? Oh, I can still move all my limbs. I just feel very uncomfortable.
And was the site of multiple tragic events, including murders, deaths, executions, and even suicides. The house has since become a hotspot for ghost hunters who've all reported the same exact thing. Ghostly apparitions, unexplained sounds, footsteps, shadows, and even cold spots. A lot of ghost hunters have also come out, spooked out of their mind, completely disorientated with the outside world, almost as if they were in a different dimension inside. Not even $1 million would be enough for me to spend a night here. Number 16. The Pluckley Village, England. Get ready to journey into England's most haunted village ever. The Pluckley Village, ladies and gentlemen. Located in Kent, this village is home to ghost stories, sightings of a phantom monk, and spirits of a highwayman, and with a population of just 1,000 people. No one wants to step out as soon as it starts to get dark. In fact, no one even attends the door at night if there's a knock, since everyone knows never to leave their homes. But yeah, just from the footage alone, I can tell this isn't a place you want your car to break down. I'm guessing it's only time before this also becomes just another mysterious abandoned village. Oh, and here's an interesting fact about Pluckley. Did you know it's known for having the most ghosts out of any place in England? Yep, there are legends of 15 different ghosts in Pluckley. Why people continue to live here still blows my mind. Number 15, Vorkuta, Russia. Vorkuta is a former Soviet-era coal mining town located beyond the Arctic Circle in Russia. And while it's not completely abandoned yet, the population has been declining for the past several decades. But what even happened to this once prospering industrial hub? Do you really want to know? You asked for it. Torture, inhumane punishments, heinous acts, and death. Vorkuta was part of the gulags and functioned as a home to forced labor camp, where prisoners and criminals were made to work in the harshest of conditions. It's estimated that more than a dozen people perish due to starvation, extreme weather, and hard labor every single day. And while much of the towns and villages near Vorkuta are already abandoned, it's only time before this town faces the same fate as only a few thousand people are left. For the remaining, some believe it's impossible to leave, as an evil spirit or presence prevents them from leaving. Locals claim that there is some entity or presence that prevents them from leaving their homes as soon as the sun sets. Now, that's just downright scary. Number 14, Monte Cristo, Homestead, Australia. Located in New South Wales, the Monte Cristo Homestead is Australia's most haunted place ever. The homestead was built back in the 18th century and wasn't always associated with death, ghosts, and evil. It was like any other home back then, before all the tragedies started to happen. It's reported that it's the site of numerous gory deaths, including a maid who was pushed to her death, along with a young child who fell from a balcony. And trust me when I tell you this, you have to be crazy to come here. Just watching it is so unsettling. I can't even imagine how it'd feel if I walked inside. Oh, and by the way, in case you want to go deeper into the home's dark past, the internet is full of scary ghost videos from the Monte Cristo homestead. Number 13, Craco, Italy. Did you know Italy has around 6,000 ghost towns and villages? And what's alarming is how that number is expected to increase in the coming years. But out of 6,000 abandoned places, which is the scariest? Well, get ready to hear about the capital of all ghost towns, Craco. It's an ancient ghost town located somewhere in Basilicata and has been abandoned for the last 70 years. Just look at the haunted buildings, homes, and structures. It looks like the perfect nesting spot for demons and evil entities. But what led to this town being abandoned? While some people believe it's because of bandits and frequent natural disasters like landslides, the more imaginative think there was an unseen, undetectable plague in the air that makes the town unlivable. Number 12, the Bone Church, Czech Republic. The Sedlec ossuary, more commonly known as the Bone Church, is located in the small town of Kutna Hora in the Czech Republic. And judging from the name alone, I think you know why this place is famous. The Bone Church is famous for its morbid decorations, even including entire chandeliers and altars made of bones. And I'm not talking about animal bones either. I mean, this place is literally made of human bones. It's estimated that the bones belong to nearly 40,000 individuals who were buried here back in the 14th century. And I don't blame anyone who feels sick as soon as they enter the church. But because of the gruesome decorations, the Sedlec ossuary is one of the most unearthly places in all of Europe. Number 11, the Waverly Hills Sanatorium, USA. Haunted or not, this place has some dark history. Located in Louisville, Kentucky, this ghostly facility was originally built to house tuberculosis patients back in the 1920s. But as the disease started to spread, so did the death toll, and the hospital became known as a place of death. It got so bad that even the doctors gave up, as hundreds, if not thousands, of patients were just left there to die. So, what is the Waverly Hills Sanatorium today?
We'd like some confirmation that it was you. Please do it again.
No, don't listen to him.
Nothing but an abandoned facility for paranormal enthusiasts who believe the place to be haunted. But, as I mentioned earlier, haunted or not, This place is dark, and I sure as heck wouldn't want to spend the night here. Number 10. The Hoya Forest, Romania. There's a reason why this forest is known as the Bermuda Triangle of Romania, and I think you can imagine why. A large number of people have disappeared in the area, and the strange part is, despite year-long investigations, authorities haven't got a single clue. Daredevils have, of course, tried going to the forest, only to come out shivering with fear. And it's not exactly the shadow figures you gotta worry about. It's the mysterious lights and voices. People have reported experiencing eerie feelings of being watched or followed, along with seeing mysterious lights inside the forest and even hearing footsteps. Damn, I would not want to get stuck here. Number 9, Highgate Cemetery, London. I never knew a place could be both beautiful and spooky at the same time. This is the Highgate Cemetery in London, famous for legends of spirits and vampires. You heard that right. Vampires as well. It was established back in the 18th century and is known all over the world for its Victorian and unusual tombs. Just imagine being stuck here at night. You'd be stuck with thousands of graves and the stories of their past as well. And the interesting thing about this cemetery is people don't actually report seeing anything while they're there. It's only after they go home and look at the pictures that they start seeing all the spooky shadows and figures. Number 8, Houska Castle, Czech Republic. Did you know the Houska Castle wasn't actually built for a king or for defense? It's true. Local legends state that there was actually a massive hole in the ground, believed to be the portal to hell. And the castle, constructed in the early 13th century, was to keep all the demons inside. Think about it. We're talking about a castle that didn't have a single human visitor for almost 700 years. I don't know about the portal, but just looking at this castle gives me the chills. No water source, no kitchen, fake windows. This thing wasn't made for us. Why hasn't anyone sent a drone down there though? Number 7, Bodie, California, the infamous ghost town of California. Believe it or not, Bodie was once a thriving gold mining town with a bustling community, and now completely abandoned, almost frozen in time with its crumbling buildings and abandoned home. But how did it go from a gold mining town to this? Well, apart from the fact that the gold ran out, people started seeing things they weren't supposed to, especially in the mines. Ghosts, demons, spirits, you name it. Even strange creatures inside the mine. A lot of ghost hunters have claimed seeing the most haunting things ever after trying to spend a night in Bodie. Number 6, Chateau de Brissac, France. Ever heard of the ghost of Charlotte de Brissac? She was murdered in the chateau back in the 16th century after her husband discovered her infidelity. But this wasn't just like every other murder. Experts claim she was murdered in the most brutal way ever, describing her husband as a pure madman with zero remorse. And if you ever visit the Chateau de Brissac, you'll feel it in the walls as well. It's said to be one of the most haunted places in France, with many visitors sharing their own tales of hearing cries and even seeing ghosts in some of the halls. It's not abandoned like some of the places we've talked about in this video though. It's actually quite famous for getting ghost hunters and paranormal enthusiasts from all over the world. Number 5, Pripyat, Ukraine. I'm sure most of you have heard of Pripyat. What was once a thriving Soviet city back in the 1980s is now nothing but an abandoned, eerie ghost town. And I don't need to explain how it happened either. But yeah, the catastrophic Chernobyl nuclear disaster destroyed everything in the city and made it unlivable for the next several decades. Now, you can go on guided tours during the day, but local authorities claim it's unsafe to stay overnight. I don't get it. You can spend an entire day at Pripyat, but you can't stay the night? Maybe it's because of all the shadows and strange creatures people have reported seeing. Regardless of whether the legends are true, there's no denying that Pripyat is one of the most chilling ghost towns in the world. Number 4, Bhangarh Fort, India. Let's travel back to Rajasthan, folks. Remember when I told you how the region is full of mysterious disappearances? Well, check this out. The now abandoned Bhangarh Fort was built back in the 16th century and is considered to be one of the most haunted places in all of India. It all started when a sorcerer cursed a young princess living in the fort, using black magic after she refused his proposal. The fort has since then been abandoned as locals claim to hear loud screams, growls, and sounds that almost sound demonic in nature. And what's even more terrifying is how the authorities also believe the fort to be haunted, as it is prohibited to visit the area after sundown. Number 3, Island of Dolls, Mexico. Located in the Xochimilco canals near Mexico City, this island is like a scene out of a horror film, but it's not ghosts, spirits, or demons that haunted it. They're dolls. It all started after a man, Don Julian Santana, found a doll floating in the canal. He believed the doll was haunted by the spirit of a girl who drowned in the canal, and in a bid to appease the spirit, he started to hang up more dolls all over the island. And today, the island is full of hundreds of decaying, lifeless dolls, making it one of the scariest places on the planet. Many people claim to have the dolls move and even whisper to each other at night. Now that's freaky. Number 2, Poveglia Island, Italy. Get ready to be shocked, people. Poveglia Island isn't just the most haunted place in Italy. No, sir. It's probably one of the most haunted places in all of the world. Much like the Kulhara village, Poveglia is also abandoned, and for good reason too. Its dark and heavy past continues to weigh it down, as it was once a quarantine station for plague victims back in the 18th century. It's rumored that thousands of plague victims were also burned alive on the island. But the island's dark history doesn't just end there. A few decades after the mass burning, it was converted into a mental asylum and housed some of the most troubled people in the world. No wonder it's abandoned to this day. Number 1, Aokigahara Forest, Japan. There's a reason why this place is known as the Suicide Forest. Located at the base of Mount Fuji in Japan, this dense, silent, and eerie forest has a tragic reputation, with over 100 suicides reported every single year. But what's up with that? Why do visitors end up taking their lives when they enter this forest? The locals claim the forest is haunted by all sorts of paranormal creatures like ghosts, evil spirits, demons, and otherworldly entities. Others believe the overall vibe of the forest has a psychological toll, and the only way to escape is by taking your own life. I love Japan, but I'm definitely scratching the Aokigahara forest off my list. Anyway, that's it from our side, folks. So, what do you think? What really happened to the mysterious village of Kulhara? Was it just a barbaric raid, or was there something else at play? Let me know in the comments below. Don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe to the channel for more interesting videos in the future. Thanks for watching, and see you next time.